All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. This is episode 138. I'm your co-host, Trent Hidlay, joined by current head Wolfpack RTC coach, Jamill Kelly. Jamill, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's been a couple of busy weeks, finally kind of settling in after the U.S. Open, and wanted to get a podcast out there and update the NC State fans and Wolfpack RTC fans on our progress. Obviously, it was a pretty successful tournament. But before we get started, can you give the fans a little bit of an introduction of Jamill Kelly, kind of your background a little bit for those that might not know you?
For sure, no problem. So Jamill Kelly, originally from California, wrestled collegiately at Lassen Junior College and Oklahoma State University, where I was teammates with Pat Popolizo and where I helped train and coach Zach Esposito, oddly enough. I stayed in Stillwater for 10 years. After I was done competing, I trained during my freestyle time, where I was fortunate enough to make the Olympic team in 2004 and bring home a silver medal. Once I returned, contemplating competing, went into retirement, decided to get into coaching. One of those places being at NC State University with Coach Popolizo during his first 2.5 years after he arrived from Binghamton. Helped Coach Nick Gwizdowski to his national title. After that, I've been at a couple different schools, most recently University of North Carolina out the street, and now back with the Pack and helping guys like yourself achieve their post-collegiate goals and trying to win world and Olympic medals and make world and Olympic teams.
Yeah, it's awesome. I always joke with you a little bit. So you said, okay, so you went NC State and then to Stanford, Arizona State, or Arizona State, Stanford, UNC. Is that correct?
Stanford, Arizona State.
Yeah.
Then UNC, then now NC State.
I always joke with you. You only go to the warm climate areas. Once you got a taste of Raleigh that first year, you never went back.
Never. The thought of anything in the cold winter, small towns just didn't appeal to me at all.
Yeah, well, me too. As soon as I came up here from Pennsylvania, I really could not see myself living in the cold again. All right, so here's a good question for you. You said, so you've known Pat, you've known Zach forever. You started, coaching NC State 2012, 2013. Now 2025. What are some of the big differences you see between maybe Pat and just the NC State program as a whole, looking back on it from now to almost a decade before?
Oh, I mean, it's a night and day difference. It was a total rebuild when Pat came in. There really wasn't a huge culture or fan base. I mean, I'm talking in the old Reynolds, the curtains up, we're wrestling, and there's probably 50 or less people there, and now you obviously come to a dual meet and it's packed and it's a great environment, one of the best in the country. Obviously having the right student athletes around that have goals and aspirations of getting on the podium and willing to do what it takes to do that. Everybody talks about it, but you also have to be willing to do what's necessary to get there. So I think once he was able to get that culture and those things in place, along with the great coaches that he's had along the way, it's been awesome to see how he's been able to elevate the program, and then not only elevate it, but get it to where it was sustaining that success. And obviously, I was happy when I had the opportunity to come back and just even try to help take it possibly to another level.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even like my first year, so Hayden came in, I believe his first year was 2016. And just seeing like that transition from 2013 to there where they got good so quick, and now seeing it where I'm, been here for 7 years, it is very cool to see the growth. But I hear, you always hear some good war stories of that first year.
It was there could be a whole podcast about that first year. There actually could be a Netflix series about that first year.
We actually, what we really should do is get you, Pat, Gwiz, and Tommy was there.
Tommy.
We need you guys to get on there for just an hour and talk some stories. I don't know if some of it is even legal to get.
That would actually be really good. And then get a couple of randoms that like Bill Cook or somebody. I'm telling you, it would be really, really good and entertaining.
That's so good. That's one of my favorite things is hearing some of those stories from those guys. It is.
Oh man,
It's been a great ride with the skip. But all right, let's switch back to one thing I want you to do for it is it's not really that easy of a system for the average fan to understand freestyle wise. Obviously, with NCAA wrestling, it's easy to follow. You got your regular season, you got ACCs, you got NCAAs. That's the big thing. Talk to us a little bit about what this freestyle setup looks like, because we just had the U.S. Open. Can I tell you, like, what does that mean? And then the World Team Trials, Final X. Just kind of give us info on that so it's clear for everybody.
Yeah, so it's can get complicated, especially now the year after the Olympics. I'm head of the Freestyle Sports Committee, and we always have discussions as far as the next quad. The quad's the 4 years leading up to the Olympics on what we should do to change or keep the same, and making the best team that USA can have to go out and win medals. As it stands, if you are a medalist from the Olympics or World Championships from the previous year, and it's called a proven performer, you have the option, if you got a medal, if you accept your bid the following year, then you're automatically in the finals of Final X. So that being said, this past year, Spencer Lee, who was an Olympic silver medalist, accepted it. So he's sitting out till Final X. Vito Araujo was a silver medalist at the World Championships in a non-Olympic weight, but he accepted his bid, so he gets to sit out. Guys like Kyle Dake, since he moved up in weight class, he was a medalist at 74 kilos, but now he's wrestling 86, which means he didn't accept his bid at 74 kilos, so that's open. Okay, same with Aaron Brooks, who didn't compete. That means his bid was not taken. So that means the champion at the US Open at those weight classes, 74 kilo, 86 kilo, they now get to sit in Final X. And now everybody else has to go to a mini tournament in Kentucky, which is in a couple of weeks. Then the winner of that will go on and meet them. Now sorry, I confused you a little bit. Now you, in your situation, like 92 kilos, it was a complete open weight class. You won. Now you sit in Final X. Now all those that qualified will wrestle, in the mini tournament in Kentucky. And then the winner of that will wrestle you at Final X. For weight classes at like 57 and 61, where Spencer and Vito were sitting out, Luke Lidenhall won 57 kilos. So now he will go and wrestle Spencer Lee, and there will not be a mini tournament at 57 kilos in Kentucky. I know I started saying some stuff that was a little confusing. Hope I cleared it up.
Yeah. So the only weights at the World Team Trials in Louisville, Kentucky on May 17th that won't be contested are 57 and 61, because Spencer Lee and Vito were sitting, and the US Open champions Luke Lidenhall 57 and Jax Forrest at 61 will automatically go to Final X. So Final X is the last leg of determining the world team. So it is a best 2 out of 3 series. And for a guy like me who's sitting in the Final X best 2 out of 3, I will face the winner of the World Team Trials mini tournament World Team Trials champion in Kentucky. So basically everybody that placed top 7 at the US Open qualifies for the trials, or there's some others with returning world team member, national team. There's some other qualifications that qualify for the World Team Trials, but most important to know, at every weight, 65 or 65, 70, 74, 79, 86, 92, 97, and 125, the winner of the World Team Trials in a few weeks will face the US Open champ in the Final X.
Right. And we have, obviously, you sitting in Final X, excuse me, Jackson Arrington, Ed Scott, and Knopp competing at the trials to potentially earn that bid to be in Final X.
Yeah. So let's go into that. We'll kind of just talk about the US Open. It was a really, really good tournament for us. I think, we sent 5 senior level guys, 2 U20 guys, and obviously I was the 1 seed. I don't know if maybe somebody else was. I think Ed and Knott might have been seated in the top 8, but you guys really had a good tournament. And Jackson Arrington, 7th place, wins over Alec Pantaleo and Yaya Thomas, who beat him earlier in the tournament. Ed Scott, 7th place as well, 2 wins over Drayton Morton and Elroy Perkins. And then Christian Knopp was really a great performance for him. 4th place with wins over Gary Traub, Ethan Laird, a former All-American, and teammate Tyree Houghton, who got 8th place. So what did you see? What did you see out of the senior level guys? Obviously, we touched on me winning it. What did you see out of those 5 guys?
It was interesting to see. It was my first opportunity actually to really kind of coach them. I've coached you at some various events, but for those guys, seeing the poise going out and really, listening to what Coach Esposito and any kind of feedback that we were given going into the matches, and just competing to win. Being gritty. Doing what they could to try to put up points, and the expectation, like for me, my expectation was kind of, I really didn't know. I didn't know what I was going to get. I didn't, obviously you think, yeah, if they do this and match up with this guy, but I really didn't know. So it was really good to see how well they competed as far as just going out, being gritty. Like I said, taking feedback after matches, wins or losses, and just going out there and just competing, just really competing. Because you see that at those tournaments sometimes, if the match doesn't necessarily go their way, or a matchup that they don't necessarily feel is favorable, then guys just kind of don't have that same kind of grit and energy like you see in a folk style season. But these guys, they came to compete.
Yeah, they did. There was great against great competition too. Like going into the tournament, we knew that with so many spots at Final X, on the line, it was going to be some of the best guys in the country. And you think about even the guys in U20s, right? Some of those U20 brackets were pretty insane. Like we had Latrell Schaefer and Gavin Linsman, two freshmen this year. They both went 2-2, so they got some good experience. I think, in terms of wrestling freestyle, and for guys like Jackson, who is coming back into the lineup next year, it's just really good experience to wrestle some high-level guys, and you start getting some wins over, a win over Alec Pantaleo and Yaya Thomas, 2 kind of veterans of the game right now. It gives you a lot of confidence. It gives you a ton of momentum going into an NCAA season.
For sure. I think that was obviously as a wrestler, you should go into every tournament expecting to win it, but though, those are 2 opponents that he's not on paper supposed to beat, and one who had beaten him previously in the tournament and last year. And for him, especially with, body a little dinged up a little bit, and figuring out how to win and making adjustments, and after feedback we gave him about previous matchups with him, I think that's what just like you mentioned, you really want coming off of a redshirt year, is now you've got some kind of data to see, like, I improved, like even in the tournament, I improved. Like now you've got some good things to roll with going into next year. Obviously always areas to improve on, but it's gotta make you feel a little bit better, as you start moving forward, thinking about next year, where you're at.
Yeah. So what will this summer? There's usually a decent amount of opportunities. Obviously, we talked about top 7 at the U.S. Open qualifies guys for trials. So at the World Team Trials, we're going to see Jackson Arrington, Ed Scott, and Christian Knopp competing. I believe Vince Robinson and Trumbull are both qualified, but with kind of recovering from injuries at NCAAs and just the college season, I believe it'll just be those 3 guys.
Correct. That is all that we have signed up and are planning to wrestle in Kentucky.
Yeah, and it'll be a busy few weeks. So with me winning the U.S. Open, I was able to get selected for the USA team going to the Pan American Championships. That'll be May 11th in Monterrey, Mexico. So next week we're gonna get a couple days of training, and we'll ship out there. I think the entries just came out. There'll be some pretty decent competitors. It'll be a good opportunity for me to get some mat time. And then that next weekend, guys will be in Louisville, Kentucky, hopefully punching their ticket to Final X. The other thing that's on the line at the World Team Trials that sometimes people forget about is the national team spot. So if you make the finals at the World Team Trials, even if you win, you go to Final X, and top top 3 qualifies for the USA national team, but the person that loses in the world team trial finals also may have the opportunity to make the national team, which is a big deal.
Right. So there's the national team. That's the top 3. Obviously, your number 1 goes to Worlds. Your number 2, you get options as far as first right of refusal for certain tournaments, the ranking tournaments in particular. There's one in Budapest. That's the last one. That's the second week of July. So I think regardless, the 1s and 2s will be going to that. And then also different training camps throughout the summer in Colorado Springs. They will pay for your travel to go to these camps. Sometimes that's very valuable in getting to feel different bodies, be exposed to some different techniques, different voices, things of that nature. I always thought they were real beneficial for me. When I was competing, the way RTCs and camps are structured now, it's not the same. And there's a lot of talk and figuring out how we can make that better. But getting on the national team it's a huge, not only accomplishment, but it gives you access to some very good opportunities to help develop your wrestling.
For sure. So we'll see. We'll be looking forward to me in Mexico for the Pan Am Championships, Jackson, Ed Scott, Christian Knopp at the World Team Trials. I think that's pretty much it for the U.S. Open. The last thing we'll touch on is just kind of the momentum I think that we have as an RTC. Obviously, with you as head coach and Nick Gwizdowski in the area officially last week announced his retirement from competitive wrestling, but we have him in the room, as I think his role is assistant RTC coach and training partner. So that's been really big to wrestle with Isaac. I wrestled with him this morning. Can you just touch on kind of Gwiz's new role in the RTC?
Yeah, it's been great having Gwiz back. Like I mentioned earlier, I was here when Gwiz first got here, and was in his corner when he won his first national title, and I've stayed close with him and had a good relationship, and I know where his mind is as far as wrestling and how he views wrestling, and we're kind of similar in a lot of ways, and we both kind of know how to feed off of each other. Different questions, things I understand. Bigger guys, it's different because they're bigger than it is for me, and so on and so forth. And I respect that and respect his knowledge and opinion because he's got a pretty high wrestling IQ as well. So I think it's really good for you guys as athletes, athletes coming in, knowing that myself and Gwiz have a relationship where we know how to make sure we're doing what's best for you guys, not just saying I'm older, I know more, I should, I'll concede things to Nick if I think or feel that he's better in that situation or communicating that technique or whatever it is. So I think it's going to be a huge benefit for the athletes, and really looking forward as we continue to grow and develop guys. I think it's just going to be an awesome training environment for any athletes that choose to come in.
Yeah, certainly. In terms of training environment, and not just at an upper weight level, but just as a room in general, with Gwiz and with you and Coach Esposito and the guys we have in the room right now, it's a really good training atmosphere, and I feel like you're seeing the growth from it, and with that growth is us growing the RTC. We just had an awesome casino night a few weeks ago, and I thought that was a lot of fun to see, all the people that are kind of behind the scenes, that make it available for us to do this with their support and their funding. So we're just going to continue to grow, and we're going to have some really cool events in the future that we're working on in terms of the RTC. And that's something that, you have a big role in spearheading. Anything else you got takeaways from maybe casino night, or just the direction of Wolfpack RTC, or kind of what our next step are to continue to raise the level?
Yeah, it's constantly evolving, right? Like just with NIL and all the strain that's being put on athletic departments and coaching staffs, it's crucial that we not only look to, alumni and supporters, but thinking outside the box and having those conversations. Fans, people are watching. If you know of different people, different companies, different angles, different ideas. We're always trying to evolve ourselves and think of different ways that we can continue to support the RTC and the program, because it's always going to be a necessity to get to the top. You want kids that know if they come to NC State that this is a place where they can be a world and Olympic champion if they choose, and they can stay in Raleigh past their collegiate eligibility to continue to train. But obviously that takes resources. And so we're always trying to work on that, evolve on that. And obviously the support of those watching and anybody, like I said, please feel free to communicate to any of us. But know that that's what we're continuing to try to do, and what's a necessity to make sure that we can keep the train rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a now more than ever, it's a great opportunity for you or somebody to make a huge impact, and it goes a long way. So thank you to everyone that's watching and for the role that they play. It's been a really successful last couple of weeks, and like you said, it's ever evolving, but definitely trying to stay ahead of the game and continue to grow. But that's all I got for you, Coach. It's been a fun episode. Thanks for your knowledge and your info on kind of just the freestyle process, a little bit of look into where our guys are going, and we'll look forward to the World Team Trials and Pan Ams here next week.
Awesome, looking forward to it. And we definitely need to work on that podcast with Tommy, Pat, and Nick.
That actually would do numbers. That would really do numbers.
It'll be good.
Yeah, great. Well, this has been another episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and follow our social media channels for more updates. Thanks.